But anyways, he's fantastic. I'm sure you all know his reputation. He's worked with us and As You Wish. We've had a fantastic time. He's worked with the T10 fleet here extensively, the Femicode 40.7 fleet here. Everyone speaks tremendously highly of him. So I'm going to give it over to Andrew now. You're going to notice I'm going to leave, and it's nothing about Andrew. Unfortunately, I have to go do some work dinner. So I'll give it over to Andrew.
Thanks very much. Thank you, John. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Both sort of healing over right now, about 5 degrees, I think. Well, we've got some good breeze out there, don't we? Welcome to tonight and tomorrow. Really delighted to be here, although it was no fault of O'Hare Air Traffic Control and the CTA that I am. But fortunate to have made it. Great to be here. Great to see you all. And I've been talking with various people about the forecast for tomorrow. And we've been looking at the wind and noticing that the breeze is going to be getting stronger as the day gets on. And so the question I'd like to phrase to you before we move on to tonight's topics is, who would be interested in getting out on the water early as we can? And I have a proposal for you along those lines, so that we sail in the more moderate conditions, and then we can get back to the dock before it starts blowing a minor gale. Who would like that? So our proposal is that we meet here still at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. meet. We'll talk about a few things, and then our goal will be to try and get you off on the first start at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we'll meet you out there, and we'll be discussing, we've done this with various other classes, sailing inside in the breakwater to reduce the commute time, so that we don't spend our whole lives trying to get out there and get back. We'll try and set you a course that's long enough to merit, some good practice. So the notion there, the idea is that we maximize our quality time on the water. Along those lines, while we're talking a little bit about tomorrow, it's early in the season, isn't it? I mean, clearly, I walked past Chicago Yacht Club, and it's pretty bare in the water there. There's not a great deal of boats in. So I think all of us should feel great that we're getting a jump on this starting tomorrow, a jump on this season. The Chicago Nude is 1 month away. It's not long, is it? It comes up very quickly. So, who here has some new crew that they're taking out tomorrow? Some crew they haven't sailed with? Who here is a bit short-handed? Right, it's inevitable, isn't it, at the start of the season, that a team would be like that. So, with that in mind, the thing I'd suggest tomorrow is, especially early on in the day, is don't feel the pressure to put the spinnaker up, because it is going to be quite a short course. And you may find actually the best value will be to get the start practice in and the mark rounds, and get your crew settled in, and make sure everybody knows what they're doing, and integrate the new folks into the system. And then once you feel confident that that's in place, then entertain the idea of putting the spinnaker up. Now that's just born from experience of running many, many clinics over the years. Particularly in the early part of the season, when people are just getting going. So that's something for skippers to consider. We may actually run a few races, in all honesty, to start with no spinnaker, just to get people warmed up, oriented, get a feel for things, and then once we feel good and we're in a good place, we can then start setting spinnakers there. So that's a suggestion, as I say, for progression of things tomorrow. And maybe discuss that tonight and tomorrow morning with your crew about how you want to best approach the day on the water to get the most out of it from both an individual and crew perspective. Now tonight I've got a myriad of topics for you, some video, I'm sort of hoping it gets dark very quickly because right now we can't see much on the screen. Luckily, I'm old school, and so I'm used to doing it on the board. So we've always got that one to go over to, but oh, come on, get dark, get dark. It's very white in here, you can see, but basically topics tonight include majorly boat handling. We're going to look at some starts, some ideas on starting, some techniques that you can start developing earlier in the season, with of course a view to that North American Championships, which is being hosted here in Chicago in early September. That's very exciting. So here we stand today with that championship at the end of the season to gun for. It's an exciting time. And this is a time where we can start to think about championship sailing. We can start to think about bigger fleet sailing with out-of-town boats coming in and competing. And we can start to think about some strategies along those lines to compete at the championship level. So quite a bit on starting for you. Some ideas on spinnaker work and crew handling. You know, and your questions, of course, as well, which very often is the dynamic that generates these things. So any question, any time you've got on any topic, you know, please, let's entertain it, let's talk about it, and it can take us in a good place. Well, this is the underwater instructions for tomorrow. If you've got a pair of binoculars, you might be able to read it. Tomorrow, stay close to the race committee boat. We're going to have a race committee boat out there for you, running races. Stay as close as you can. It's very easy, and I'm sure we've all experienced it, to go wandering off into sort of private situations, talking about things, while the race committee is trying to get things going. So tomorrow, please try and stay close. Format tomorrow, which is quite interesting, is a 10-minute running clock with a start at 5 minutes and a race at 0. This is designed to give us added value for our start. In other words, we do a start at 5 minutes, set your watches to 10, at 5, we do a practice start. So we'll come off the line, evaluate how the start was, how did we do, what could we have done better, and while you're having that conversation, head back to the starting area, the clock's running. We're going into another start here. And in fact, at 0, that start's going to be a race. And we're going to set a windward mark for you. We're going to attempt to set an offset mark for you as well. Discussion about that tonight, incidentally. And we'll send you around the course. We'll go around the windward mark here on the second start to the offset. And then, out of respect for resources, we're going to have you finish through the start line, either with the choice of ramming the pin to starboard or the committee boat to port. So you can basically utilize the start-finish line as a gate for finishing purposes then. Do a takedown and mark ramming, and then, as I say, stay close. We'll be at you for another start and another race as well. So lots of that tomorrow. So mentally, prepare yourself for a lot of starts and a lot of short course racing. Sort of prepare yourself along those lines. We're going to do some drills tomorrow, luffing and accelerating. It's really sort of consummate time and distance stuff. I'll never forget being in San Diego Bay coaching about 10, probably 15 years ago now, and there was a lone eshel out there off Harbor Island. I don't know if you're familiar with San Diego Bay at all, but Harbor Island's a little peninsula there, spit sticking out, and there was a lone eshel sailing away from a buoy for about a minute, and then tacking around, luffing for a little bit, sheeting in, and then going and hitting the line. And they were doing this over and over again. And so I was curious, and we got closer, and we were trying to see who it was. There was this very big guy sitting in the back of the boat. You might guess who he was. It was Dennis Conner. It was Dennis Conner doing time and distance drills. What he was trying to do was get a sense for how long it took to accelerate the boat from slow to hit the line at full speed. He was doing it over and over again, and he was trying to practice, get it down as close as possible. And I thought to myself, what a useful drill. Because if you think about it, especially early in the season when you've had a winter layoff, one of the things that you typically need to do is work on time and distance. You know, your inherent skill is still over there from the winter, but time and distance work needs work. You know, early on, you're either tending to get to the line too early, having to slow down, or you find yourself late. The gun's fired and we're X number of boat lengths behind the line there. Time and distance drill is very useful to start to give us a sense of how long to hear from here to there in how much time. So what I'll do is I'll blow a 1 minute sequence and have you luffing and then sheet in and go and see how long it takes to hit the line there. And I'd encourage you to do this actually at any opportunity when you're out there. Pick a mark, sail away from it for a minute, tack around and then come back and see how long it takes to hit that mark at full speed. I promise you that it will pay dividends in your starts, in making you a more consistent starter. Connor incidentally went on to win that actual Worlds the next week up in Newport Harbor by quite a lot. So it really resonated watching him do that. You know, the thing that's beneficial is, one of my sort of personal Bibles is Dave Perry's speed, distance and timetable, which tells you how many feet per second you cover at each boat speed. So I figured with my rudimentary math skills that at 5 knots, we will do about 1 boat length in 4.5 seconds in a Beneteau 36.7. In 6 knots, we'll do 1 boat length in 3.5 seconds, and so it goes. I'll make copies of this, and we can make this available to you, but 3.5 seconds at 6 knots per boat length. So if you're 10 boat lengths away, then you're going to take about 35 seconds to get there at full speed at 6 knots. So you can start to evaluate how far from the line you are at full speed. That can start to build some confidence into the team to say, look, you're 40 seconds from the line, including attack, you're a minute from the line, including attack, and so on. So you start verbalizing how far from the line you are, including a maneuver. Recommend this, particularly early in the season. I think you'll find it very beneficial. And again, it'll prevent us from that, you know, the scenario of either being early to the line. You ever been early to the line, luffing, and had people pass you on both sides? Yep. You ever been late? Where you know you're late when the bow person sits down on the rail when the gun fires and there's still another 30 seconds to go. We've all been there. So the time and distance can really help. The other thing that can be helpful too, and this is just a general idea to think about, is just this idea of, look, let's not get more than 8 to 10 boat lengths from the starting line. Let's just make it our rule here. Now obviously we have to keep clear of the line for the race committee. We need to respect the other fleets. But let's not get further than that. Let's be close so that when it is our turn, we can jump right in there and start to do our research and development. So a few ideas for you there. Tomorrow we're also going to do a Leeward mark rounding drill, both tactical and speed rounding. Now I think the thing you'll enjoy about this one, and crews will enjoy, is this will actually be a non-spinnaker drill. So crews will actually get to relax a little bit and evaluate the trimmers and the driver. I think everybody evaluates the driver, don't they?
Oh yeah, every chance we get.
How many crews think they can drive better than the skipper here? Skipper pitches too much? Puts too much? There you go. You add yours. But tomorrow we're going to do a Leeward mark rounding drill. But what I'd like you to do is basically pick a mark, we'll announce it, and just practice a tactical rounding going about a length and a half. It's almost like you pointed a fountain mark, not the mark itself.